Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a wild and honestly super urgent topic, the spectrum of trust we place in artificial intelligence. We are living in this really unique moment where AI is simultaneously capable of completely fabricating reality and, on the flip side, literally saving human lives. It's crazy. Depending on where and exactly how it's used, our relationship with this tech just shifts dramatically. So let's jump right in and unpack how we interact with and ultimately trust AI today. So before we really get into the weeds here, I want you to keep one fundamental question in the back of your mind. Is AI a search engine or is it a storyteller? Misunderstanding the answer to this exact question is where some of the absolute biggest, highest stakes blunders are happening right now. We're seeing this particularly when professionals attempt to use generative AI for crucial tasks, like doing heavy-duty legal research and pulling case citations. As we're going to see, treating a digital storyteller like it's a factual search engine can lead to some truly disastrous consequences. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be navigating through 5 key areas. We're going to start with extremist bots and legislative hurdles, then move into the legal risks of AI citations, examine the AI fairness gap, look at everyday AI at your fingertips, and finally wrap up by exploring life-saving medical AI. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, extremist bots and legislative hurdles. We're starting out in the murkier, definitely more dangerous waters of AI trust, looking at the complexities of malicious misuse. To really wrap our heads around this threat, we need to look at platforms like Character AI. Basically, this is a website where you can hop on and have conversations with chatbots that were actually created and customized by other human users. On paper, it sounds like a fun, creative little outlet, right? But a recent experiment revealed a pretty dark side. They found that several bots on this platform were actually mimicking extremist groups, like the Islamic State. In one experimental setting, one of these bots actively tried to recruit a user. That raises a massive red flag. If a machine is doing the recruiting, who is actually responsible? Is it the machine, the human who coded it, the people who made the data set, or the CEO of the company? And wow, does this ever highlight the absolute headache lawmakers are facing right now? The lines just blur so incredibly fast. For instance, the UK Labour Party has actually expressed a desire to make it a legal offense to train AI to incite violence or radicalize vulnerable people. But how do you legally firmly separate inciting violence from, say, really passionate climate change activism? And for that matter, how does the law objectively define who is even vulnerable to being radicalized by an AI? It is so incredibly subjective. Add to that the fact that AI is a totally borderless technology. Right now, we just have this messy patchwork of AI laws across the globe. Without a unified global framework, enforcing these rules is nearly impossible. And the clock is absolutely ticking here. Reports are warning that by 2025, generative AI could actively be used to research how to carry out terrorist attacks. Which brings us to Section 2, legal risks of AI citations. This is where we shift from intentional, malicious misuse to accidental but incredibly severe misuse by professionals who just fundamentally misunderstand the tech. Now, this is a prime example of what happens when high-stakes professions totally get it wrong. In a highly publicized and honestly deeply concerning incident, a lawyer advising Donald Trump actually used an AI tool, specifically Google Bard, to generate legal citations for a brief. The catch? The cases the AI cited literally didn't exist. The lawyer submitted entirely bogus, completely fabricated legal citations to a court of law. This perfectly highlights the immense, career-ending risks when legal professionals use artificial intelligence for case research without actually understanding what's going on under the hood of the tool. The tech industry politely calls these slip-ups hallucinations. But let's be real. Stripped of all that fancy jargon, what it means for everybody else is that the AI just makes things up. When a lawyer asks an AI to find a legal precedent, the AI is not rigorously fact-checking legal databases. It's analyzing language patterns and predicting what a legal citation ought to look like. It creates a highly convincing, beautifully formatted lie. This is an absolutely severe risk in the legal field, where accuracy and precedent are quite literally the entire foundation of the justice system. It just proves that you absolutely cannot rely on AI for lawsuits without a human lawyer meticulously verifying every single detail. So here is the absolute bottom line we have to grasp: the difference between a search engine and generative AI. A search engine is built for factual retrieval. It searches existing, verified databases to bring you actual, real documents. Generative AI, on the other hand, is a predictive text engine. It's just stringing words together based on probability. Like we said earlier, it's a storyteller. If lawyers treat a generative AI like it's a search engine, they are not going to get facts. They are going to get highly plausible fiction. The legal profession absolutely must internalize this difference if they want to avoid catastrophic errors in the courtroom. Moving on to Section 3, the AI fairness gap. Because the implications of AI in the judicial system go way beyond just lawyers doing bad research. Sure, AI could definitely help cut costs and democratize legal information down the road, but it opens up a massive ethical question known as the human-AI fairness gap. Think about it. Most of us believe a human judge brings at least some compassion to the bench, right? They can hear the sincerity in a defendant's voice, they can interpret facial expressions, and gauge if someone genuinely wants to turn their life around. A machine judge, though, it operates purely on pattern logic and historical data, which inherently carries the very real risk of baked-in bias and discrimination. Ask yourself this. If your freedom was on the line, would you want to be judged by the cold, calculating logic of a machine or the nuanced empathy of a human being? It's a huge question, and we definitely haven't answered it yet. Okay, let's step out of the high-stakes courtroom for a bit. Section 4, AI at your fingertips. We're transitioning to how this tech is becoming a completely normalized, totally everyday part of our lives. 30 years, think about that. That is how long it's been since the standard Microsoft keyboard has seen a fundamental change in its design. Not since 1994 has the layout actually been altered, but that is changing literally right now, and it signals a massive mainstream shift in consumer tech. Microsoft is slapping a dedicated AI Copilot button right onto their keyboards. It's this super simple three-step integration. You just press the new button, you instantly access their AI-powered suite, and boom, you can immediately start drafting emails, creating images, and summarizing text. No complex shortcuts, no opening separate browser windows. It's just a little hack to make your workday easier, but what it really means is that AI is no longer just for developers or tech geeks. It's becoming as standard and integrated into our daily workflow as the spacebar. And finally, Section 5, life-saving medical AI. This is our last stop on the spectrum of trust, and it showcases a highly verified, profoundly positive partnership between human experts and AI. Take a look at this stark contrast. Over in the UK, the National Health Service is dealing with a massive backlog. If you're waiting for a traditional heart disease diagnosis, you are currently looking at an 8 to 12-month wait. But if doctors utilize a new AI-powered stethoscope, which is a device that looks like a totally normal old-school stethoscope but acts like a supercomputer, and they combine that with a confirmatory blood test, that diagnosis time plummets to just a few weeks. And why does that timeline matter? Well, 30,000. That is the number of excess deaths every single year, tied directly to these long diagnosis wait times. People are quite literally dying needlessly while waiting to be seen. Giving overworked medical staff a tool that can instantly and accurately detect heart conditions could slash this number, saving thousands of lives and saving the healthcare system millions of pounds. This right here perfectly showcases what AI is undeniably amazing at: finding patterns. Human doctors are incredible for sure, but they just cannot hold millions of data points in their heads all at once. AI absolutely can. By analyzing these massive data sets, AI can reveal patterns in historically under-researched areas. For example, heart attack symptoms present very differently in women than they do in men, which is an area where medical science has historically kind of operated in the dark. By training algorithms on this specific data and putting that power in the hands of everyday general practitioners, AI could be an absolute game changer for improving female health equity. Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to wrap up today's explainer. Based on the entire spectrum you've looked at today, are we ready for a world where we enthusiastically welcome AI as our life-saving doctor, but are absolutely terrified of it acting as our lawyer? It just proves that trust in AI isn't a simple yes or no thing. It is deeply, fundamentally tied to the context, the stakes, and whether we truly understand the difference between a machine that retrieves facts and a machine that tells stories. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning the tech around you, and I will see you next time.